Welcome to another video. So let's take a look at the 3D comparison between generative AI tools. The first one will be Tripo, and this will be the case study mesh output. The second one will be Rodin, and using the same image I generated the following model, and we're also going to compare that with Hitem3D. Now, in order to get started, I'm going to initially start over here with Tripo. So I will have this downloaded. I'm going to generate this as an FBX, and I'm going to have this exported. Now, for all the meshes were generated using the same input image, and I went with the highest resolution possible. So that means for Tripo, this will have up to 2 million faces. The same for Hitem3D, and Rodin will be kept at only 1 million. What I want to compare is the overall mesh, so the total number of manifold elements, or high creases, or even small holes. Now, we have the first model over here loaded, which will be the following. So I'm going to drag and drop this within GeoMagick in order to have it analyzed. So let's take a look over here. We have that model loading now. We see that for the orientation, GeoMagick will have the z-axis going upwards. So I'm just going to slightly position this in order to have it align within GeoMagick. So this will be a better alignment. I will disable the texture since that is not the most important thing over here. And I want to analyze the total amount of elements within the mesh. So I'm going to go over here within polygons, mesh doctor, and let's analyze the mesh created by Tripo. We see over here that all those puzzle pieces are quite well defined, and we're going to have 0 non-manifold. We're going to have some self-intersections. So if I'm going to deselect everything and only leave those self-intersections, we're going to see that there will be some areas within the mesh where we have some self-intersections. We're going to have some small tunnels. In this case, those small tunnels will be over here. So we have that small tunnel. Let's check some other elements. So this section will be entitled small components. And as you can see, this will be a little bit of floating meshes. In this case, GeoMagick will identify this as a small component and this one as well. Now, I really like the fact that Tripo also tried to generate those additional puzzle pieces. So, as you can see, those were present within the concept over here, even though within the concept there were many more puzzle pieces, but Tripo managed to output some of those as well. Now, regarding the overall number of spikes, this is something that will, let's say, include meshes that are a little bit creased. We have those that are highly creased and spikes that will be slightly creased. Now we see the total number for those will be roughly to 50,000 in this case. So overall the mesh from Tripo is quite good. And we're going to go and compare the following one, which in this case will be Rodin. So we have the mesh over here. I'm going to go ahead and I will download this. In this case, I will leave both shaded and PBR. And again, I will use an FBX for this, for the base model, and I'm going to hit download. Rodin will now pack this. Over here within Rodin, I feel like a little bit the proportions for that lion. This was made using the symmetric option, as we can see. Within the reference, that posture for the lion wasn't perfectly symmetric, so he was slightly looking towards the side. And over here, the model will be symmetric. So we can have this reprocess and disable that symmetry if you want to go a little bit closer to that reference. Because I have noticed that Rodin will try to force symmetry if you do not select the asymmetric option. So keep that in mind when you're working with Rodin. Also, this will be kept to 2 million, to 1 million faces, not 2 million. And we have this ready. I'm going to save it over here on downloads. and I'm going to extract that. So this will be the extracted one, and I'm going to load in the FBX, which will be this one. So I'm going to drag and drop this within GeoMagick. I don't want to save the previous one. And we're going to have that loaded. Now, for the texture, I'm going to have that disabled for now. And again, we can go over here and we can align this. And let's do that mesh analysis in order to see what kind of problems we have over here. And we're going to see that Rodin will also create some manifolds, some non-manifolds. I'm just going to disable everything and I will leave those so we can better see those. We have a button over here for walkthrough, and this will show us some of the elements. In this case, we're going to see that those non-manifolds will be a total of 15. I don't know exactly where they are on the mesh, but we see that the mesh will have those. Self-intersections 42. So over here we have some self-intersection. We're going to have that walkthrough over here. So we're going to see all of those areas where we have self-intersections. We can also enable a clipping plane. And as you can see over here, we're going to have that mesh also over here on the inside. So this is where that self-intersection will appear. Regarding the highly creased faces, it will be the following. The total number of spikes. So this will be roughly half as we had within Tripo, but keep in mind that overall the geometry will be half since this will be capped to only 1 million triangles. So it will have roughly the same amount. Regarding small components, we are not going to have any because Rodin didn't try to create those pieces that were staying directly on the ground. And regarding the small tunnels, I'm going to enable the clipping plane over here. And let's check those small tunnels. And as we can see, it will have a total of 62 of those small tunnels. So usually it will be a geometry that will be linked like this within a connection, and it will have an additional mesh blob on the other side. And as we can see, there will be quite many small tunnels in this case. Regarding the small holes, we're going to see that I don't have the possibility to navigate directly and see those, but we're going to see that there will be a total of 8 in this case. I don't know exactly where they are. We can easily fix those within GeoMagick, but again, this is a study regarding the overall mesh topology and structure. So overall, I consider that the mesh output will be quite similar to the one made using Tripo regarding the overall meshes. Now, let's go ahead and check the last model, which will be this one from Hitem3D. I'm going to download the FBX in this case as well. We have that model ready directly within downloads, so I'm going to drag and drop that over here. So go within downloads, I'm going to hit refresh. This unconfirmed, so it's currently being downloaded. 31 megabytes. It should be roughly the same size, 38. So the others were around 45. We see over here that Hitem3D will have some of the slowest downloading. Okay, so the file size is quite large. So already we are at 70 megabytes. And we have that ready. And the final model, 110 megabytes. So quite a large file. I wasn't expecting Hitem3D file to be so large compared to Tripo. It's almost double. Now, let's check the overall mesh structure and see if there are any problems associated with it. We're going to have the model loaded like this. Again, I will go and have this aligned to the principal axis in this case. I will also disable the texture so we can better see those meshes. And if I will go within Mesh Doctor, let's go ahead and analyze this. We see that the total number of triangle count is slightly above 2 million cap in this case. And we're going to see that there will be no small holes. no small components, but it will have some self-intersections. So let's go ahead and walk through those in order to see those. I'm gonna enable them. Also add a clipping plane. So over here, we're gonna have the only self-intersection within the mesh. So slightly over here, we're gonna have those overlapping onto the interior. Regarding spikes, we're gonna see a high amount of spikes. So since Hitem3D, in my opinion, outputs the best triangular meshes, it will also output a high amount of spikes, as we can see over here. So almost 4 times that number that Tripo generated. For the highly crisp as well, so 7,000 faces. And now let's check those small tunnels. And over here, we're going to see that there will be almost 500 of those small tunnels. So they will be more visible like this with a clipping plane. I'm just going to slightly cycle between those so we can see what kind of mesh output will be in this case. So we see that over here we're going to have that small tunnel on the interior. It's not visible, it's on the inside of that generated sphere, but we're going to see that there will be many of those elements over here. And regarding small holes, we are not going to have any small holes. Now, I'm really curious, what is your conclusion? What is the best model in this case? I feel like the one with Hitem3D managed to output the best overall details, in my opinion, even though it will have a high number of spikes. Those can be easily smoothed out, but keep in mind that they are not a problem. So if you want this model, maybe within a VR application or something similar, you can leave it highly spiked. The same if you want to create a 3D print, you can leave that. I would recommend to have it smoothed in order to have an overall better mesh, but again, it's not mandatory. As you can see, if I will cycle the light like this, we're going to see those triangulated meshes. And we can go ahead and we can smooth those out, either over here or within Blender. So that shouldn't be any problem. But overall, I feel like the mesh over here is the most detailed one. After that, I think Tripo will manage to output the second best result in this case. As we can see over here directly within the viewport, it will look like this. And the last in this case will be Rodin. Keep in mind that this is also capped by a smaller amount of triangles for faces, capped 1 million, and that will make it not that competitive with the other tools. But Rodin real power is in quad meshes and mesh segmentation, and those tools are far superior to the ones within Tripo or Hitem3D. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this kind of content. I'm going to position a similar video on the left side, and I will also add a subscribe button to the right. So that's it. Thanks for watching.